Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Amber's Way. It's been a long time since I put a video out. Excuse my face. My face is red. I just got out of a shower. My hair's wet. It's just brushed. This is kind of a, what's the word? Spontaneous kind of video. I was talking to my husband the other night and I was like, you know what, let's do something fun that we both like to talk about and just bullshit about. So I was like, let's do stuff about like supernatural stuff, some experiences that we've had, maybe some family members' experiences that we've heard of, and maybe some just conversation about stuff like demons and ghosts and things of that nature. It's something that my husband and I really like to talk about. We ourselves have had experiences. If you're one of those people who don't believe in this stuff, more power to you. I would appreciate no negative comments on here about that. We're just here kind of bullshitting and talking and just kind of having fun and stuff like that. So if you've had experiences and you want to kind of share, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and here we go. So let me just fix the view here a little bit to where... My husband, maybe I should have it the other way. No, it won't, because it'll just be like that, won't it?
Yeah, I'll just lean in toward you.
So, I want to share an experience that I've had when I was younger. I was probably about 11 or 12 years old, and I lived in a town at the time in Maryland. It was a very small town, and I had my best friend that lived in the same town, and I would go to her house all the time. You know who you are. And I would have sleepovers there all the time. Now, the way her house was set up, her family owned both sides, but there was the main side, which was like a normal kind of apartment-y, kind of condo-ish kind of side. It had, was it 3 or 4 bedrooms and a bath, 2 bathrooms. And then there was another side that they could, if they wanted to, rent out. And we would always call that the apartment side. Now, most of the time that I known Jen, that's my friend's name, it was mostly empty and they used it for storage. And so Jen and I would go over there and we would play. And then when it was time to go to sleep, we go in her room and she had like, I think it was like a full bed, and we both would sleep in the same bed. Now, one night, no, okay, let me start this. There was a rumor that her house had a little bit of haunting. I, at the time, never experienced anything. And I thought it was just something that her parents like to scare me or tease me about. But apparently I think they had a couple little experiences. I myself at the time didn't have any. But we called for some reason we called him Mr. Weast, is what we named him. When Jen and I would go on the apartment side, I always got a very weird feeling. I didn't like being over there by myself. I don't know if I ever voiced this to her, but Jen, it was creepy. And is it blurred out?
No, it's just trying to focus between the two of us. It's fine.
But it's blurry.
It'll unblur itself.
There. And I just didn't like it. But we played over there every so often just because it was, an empty space. We had more room to play and things like that. One night when I was staying over there, like I said, it was about 11 or 12. We were in bed and it was later at night. And she was sleeping towards the wall because her bed was pushed up against the wall. She was sleeping towards the wall and I was sleeping on the outside. And we're sleeping. And I remember kind of like waking up a little bit, being really thirsty. And I had kept a drink on her nightstand. And I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty. But you're kind of asleep. You don't want to wake up. But I woke up and I took a drink. No issues. Had the little light on. When I went to go turn off the light on the bedside table, I felt like something was staring at me from her closet. And I was like, you know what? It's late, I'm imagining it. Nothing's there. Turn out the light and I try to go back to sleep. Finally go back to sleep, but then I start hearing Amber. And I'm thinking it's Jennifer talking in her sleep. I'm like, Jen, shut up. Like, I'm trying to go to sleep. She didn't say anything at first. I was like, Jen, shh. And then, I start going back to sleep and I hear Amber. And I'm like, Jen, shut up. And she's like, I'm not saying anything. And I'm like, well, who's saying Amber? She's like, I don't know. And then she goes back to sleep. So I'm like, she hadn't been saying it and she's just, sleep talking. Again, I try to lay back down. Now this time I go to sleep and as I'm right at that like REM sleep, I feel this on my shoulder very lightly and I hear Amber. And I wake up like full on like up in the bed and turn on the light and I'm like scared. And I remember shaking Jen going, Jen. And she's like, what? I'm like, did you just touch me? She's like, no, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm sleeping. And I'm like, someone just grabbed me. Well, she was tired, so I didn't want to like mess with her too much. I didn't want to get her scared. So I turn off the light and I get as close to her as I can because I'm scared. And I finally fall back asleep. Well, the next day, I believe I told her, Jen, I think I told you this, but I told her and she's like, yeah, that was probably Mr. Weiss. Well, I was like, are you joking? Now, that was the only time that I had ever experienced anything in her house. You could say that was my mind, but it just is something that I know that was true and that it happened. So that is an experience from me. Jen, you lived in a creepy house and it scared the shit out of me. So that was something for me. Now, my husband has had a lot. So I want to get him to tell a story about himself.
I'm going to start the story, but you're going to help me out with it.
Okay. What is it? One of those things where you remember bits and pieces?
You're kind of a major factor in it because I was coming home from work, and this was not too long after you moved in. Mm-hmm. Maybe just a few months, 4 months, 4 or 5 months after you moved in, and after I got home from work, I got up to the door and I heard crying coming from the other side, and your brother and sister were over for the night. And I come inside, and it's all dark except for a movie you guys were watching, some kind of scary movie. And
yeah, I remember that.
It
was about a witch.
But I come in and I see Alina's really scared.
Like she's full on like tears and it's like oh like
she's like fight or flight panic.
Yeah, fight or flight. Yeah, that's like legit.
Yeah. So, anyway, of course, I have to go, what the hell? What's going on? Why
and I'm
is she
mad.
so upset?
I'm mad because I'm thinking she's trying to mess with my brother and get him scared because, all our lights were off in our old trailer that we lived in, which was on the same property, just like literally a few feet over from the house that we're in now. And I thought she was trying to scare Shane and I because John at the point was not at home and it was dark. And John walks in and is like, what's crying? I'm like, she's saying she sees somebody in the hallway. And at this point, I had turned on the light. And he's like, and all he says is,
Oh, yeah, about that.
That's what he's. Oh, yeah. Well. And I'm like, what? And at this point, I have had no inclination about anything. And I've lived with him since, you know what, it was like February, end of February, almost beginning of March. And I had moved in with him that December before. So just like a few months, we moved in together. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, what?
For me, it was old hat, because you got to understand, when I moved into the trailer, I was 17 at the time. And after about the third, fourth night there, it was pretty obvious I had a shadow man who liked to haunt the hallway there. Every now and then, he'd come out from the hallway, take a few steps around the kitchen. I'd hear footsteps around the house now and then if I was in the bedroom. But, other than that, he pretty much hung out in the hallway. And, well, I'm 17, and here's a free house. And I just flat out told him the day one of seeing him, dude, look, I know you're here, but free house, man. I'm not leaving. We're just going to have to make this work. And we did. It was nice. My friends got creeped out for the most part, but me and him, we were, minded our own business for the most part. Every now and then he popped out, said, hey, but he was there, and it was old hat to me. Until she moved in.
Hi.
And then it was kind of like, yeah, game on.
I don't know what it was about me, but shit just took off from there in that trailer. And I have had similar, kind of a little bit of, experiences with supernatural stuff before I moved in, but it was a lot when I moved in with John. And it was very slow at first, and then I got like rapid. The night that he's talking about, we were watching a movie, my sister and my brother at the time. My sister, I think, was 11 or 12 years old. So she's at the point to where she knows, like, she doesn't get super, super scared easily because
she's seen a number of scary movies.
Yeah, we liked scary movies. And this one wasn't super scary. It was
what were you watching?
I don't know, it was some kind of witch one. I don't remember, but it was like based in the 1800s or something. And it's just like a witch messing with people. It wasn't like overly gory or anything like that. It was just like a little bit of jump scares. I wish I could remember what it was called. I don't remember. And my brother is 4 years younger than my sister. So he was what? What's 12 minus 4?
8.
8. So he was 8. And we're sitting there and I just see my sister doing this. Because I have our couch is sitting right in front of the TV. And then we had a chair sitting over here. My brother's sitting in the chair. Me and my sister's sitting on the couch. And then over towards this way is the hallway, where it leads to the bathroom and then our daughter's room at the time. And I see her just going and then watch the movie. And then she did it like 3 or 4 times. And so I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, someone is in your house. And I'm like, what? She's like, someone's in your house. And I'm like, Elena, there's nobody here in here but us. And she's like, someone is in the house. It's over in the hallway. I can see them. And I'm looking where she's looking, and I don't see anything. It's pitch black, besides the TV light being on. And she's like, no, there's someone over there. And I'm like, Lena, there's nobody there. Stop it. Because I'm afraid she's getting Shane upset.
I never thought to tell her about this. It just, again, old hat. It was as natural as rain was coming that day,
And I'm like, Lena, stop. She's like, no, someone's here. And I'm like, Lena, it's not. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up and turn on the hallway light. She's like, no, don't go over there. And she starts hysterically crying. And I'm like, Elena, what are you doing? Stop. And she's like, no. So I flip on the light. I'm like, Lena, there's nothing there. She's like, I swear there was someone there. It was a tall guy. And I'm like, Lena, there's nothing. And at that time, John walks in. And then that's like, he's like, oh yeah, there's a shadow guy. And I'm like, what?
Forgot to mention the roommate.
It's like, by the way, it's this guy. He's in the hallway.
It's totally cool. It's chill.
He sometimes likes to come out and stare, maybe do like some jump scares, but that's it. And I'm like, okay. I'm still like, these people are crazy, right? And so she's, crying. She had to sleep with me that night because John had to sleep on the couch. My brother and sister had to sleep with me. So there's another one of the shadow guy.
Well, that's her introduction
That's
to
the
it.
introduction. Yep. That was something. My sister still talks about it. And it's something that really like put a mark on her for like just supernatural stuff in general. Now there's a lot of different, I don't want to say variations, but for lack of a better word, of what people would call a shadow person. Sometimes ghosts or things like that can take on a shadow form. And then there's shadow people. Shadow people are usually people from not from this world. They're
multi-dimensional.
They're multi-dimensional. And that's just from information of us watching different things and documentaries and reading stuff. But they're not from this world. A lot of times they're not the greatest thing to have around if they're true shadow people. This, I don't know if it was a true shadow person.
It was most definitely a true shadow person. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
And a lot of times you get kind of the same kind of description of what they look like. Usually it's a shape of a man that's usually tallish. Sometimes it's just that, and then other times it's a man that's tallish with a brim hat, and sometimes what is it, like a trench coat, not a trench coat, but like a coat, like a cowboy long coat.
Yeah, but the other two are the forms that you most commonly hear, especially with the hat. Now you guys, every time you guys saw them, you saw them with the hat, right?
I did not, no. Elena
saw them with the hat. See, I never saw him with the hat either.
And didn't your brother see him with the hat?
I think my brother said he saw him with the hat. Dave said he saw him with the hat, I'm pretty sure.
Now the property, I don't know, because since we've gotten and moved into the new place, which is literally, like I said, 3 feet in front of where the old place was placed.
It was enough. It was just enough.
It was just enough to kind of like even things out. Now we've had teeny bits of experiences in this house, not nearly as much as we've had in the old trailer.
I have 2 theories. He was either bound to the house, or he's bound to just a very small specific plot of land that's directly behind where we are now. It's one of the two, but we have not yet seen him in the house. He was mostly nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
Daytime you would just hear noises out of him, but as far as visuals go, very nocturnal, almost religiously every night almost. Especially towards the end. My God, it snowballed.
Yeah, and it was
You
weird.
pissed him off.
I don't know, I just didn't like my feminine.
What the hell did you do to that shadow man? He was cool until you moved in.
He just didn't like a strong woman.
I was at a point where I was very charged of rent.
But it was funny because sometimes you wouldn't see, at least I wouldn't see him, but you would just know that something was there. And we only had 1 bathroom in the old trailer. And Jackie's room at the time, who was our daughter, stayed, our bedrooms were at the other end of the trailer. It was just an old single wide trailer.
We're horrible parents. We let her stay in the supernatural
put her in the haunted place.
room.
That's just where the kids' room was. The master bedroom was on the other end by the living room.
She ended up sleeping with us a lot.
A lot, or like on the couches.
Yeah.
But in order to go to the bathroom, he had to go through the hallway. Now, that's where he liked to usually hang out. But there was also another door, like a back door.
Right at that hallway.
Right at that hallway. The door, in order to open it, you had to open it and push it out to open from the inside. Like, it wasn't one to where, like, if you push it inward and it opens inward and hits like a wall. This was one where you pushed out and it hit like the siding of the house when you opened the door.
Yeah, it'll fully swing open.
Yeah. We never used it because there was no back steps.
No, we ended up
we did get back steps.
Yeah, we ended up getting back steps eventually. But even after that, we didn't use it because we just didn't like that hallway. We didn't like the door.
Yeah, we didn't like the hallway, and from where the house was positioned at the time, we had a very smallish backyard.
Yeah, we never even really used it.
And there was never really a point to use it, so we just never used it. We always kept the door locked.
Yeah.
There were
And I was
times.
very paranoid about that lock.
Yes, anytime. Like we would shake it to make sure it was closed because it had a thing to where it would randomly open when it was closed. Now, mind you, when we would go check it, people were like, "Oh, it probably just is loose and open." Well, could have been, but
Now, I will say the door opening by itself did start before you moved in. I want to say it probably started maybe a year after I moved in. Yeah, it was probably about a year and a half after I moved in before the door started opening by itself.
but I'm saying when you had to pee really bad and there was only one toilet in the house and it was late at night and we always kept the hallway light on for Jackie so she could see if she needed to come to our room. And but even with the light on and that only being the light, and you have to walk through there and go sit on the toilet.
But I do remember something now concerning timing of the door. Yeah, that it started opening before you moved in. It only did it like on rare occasion after you moved in. Oh my god, it was constantly.
Maybe it was jealous that you had someone else there. I don't know.
I don't know what the
Because you
hell.
had Jackie the whole time there before I moved in. But you'd walk by and you just had this feeling like, please don't open, please don't open. And one night it opened on me and it opened on him.
Oh, I didn't hear the one on you.
Yeah, well, mine was during the day-ish, but I was home by myself. You and Jackie were somewhere, and I was home, and it was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was still kind of light out, and I had to go pee. I was watching TV, get up to go pee, and I walked past it, and it just goes scared the poop out of me. Now, mind you, this was still daylight time. I'm alone in the house, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to reach outside to grab the door. And I'm thinking,
no, yeah, that's when it started getting ballsy and opening the door during the daytime. Even
I was like, something's gonna grab me, but I have to close the door because there was no screen door on it. It was just the main door. So I'm like reaching out, going, please nothing, please nothing. I hurry up and I close it and I lock it and I run in the bathroom and shut the door. And then I do my business and then I come out. But it was very scary. And then it's happened to you, so tell them about.
Well, I was having really bad sleep apnea at the time, and that's where you don't really breathe so much when you're asleep. Your throat can close up on, and eventually you could suffocate if you don't wake up in time to get that breath, and this kind of causes really shitful sleep. And at the time I was refusing to get it diagnosed or checked up on or anything, and it was just getting progressively worse.
Stubborn.
But yeah, she talked me into getting it done, looked into, and I ended up getting a machine for it. But before I got the machine, when it was at the absolute worst, I would start having a habit of sleepwalking and not really realize I was doing it. It wasn't really so much sleepwalking. It was more like I don't know what to call it. I was in you're in bed and suddenly you find yourself in the kitchen going to the bathroom past the hallway. What the hell drugged me there? I didn't have to use the bathroom. All right, let me go back to bed. And then I started having audible hallucinations of Amber calling me for glasses of water. She'd be sound asleep next to me, and I would swear up and down she just shook me awake, asking me for a glass of water.
He brought me in a glass of water like at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why are you, because he slept on the couch because he snored really badly with his apnea. And so he would have to sleep on the couch sometimes, well, a lot of times. And so he brought me this glass of water like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, here's your water. I'm like, I didn't ask for water. He's like, just puts it down and goes back to bed.
Well, it was getting so bad that it started a new sleeping arrangement with us where instead I would sleep in my daughter's room and my daughter would sleep with Amber. And it was at that point I realized how bad her room was with the shadow guy when I stayed my first night in that room. And I really didn't want her back in it after that. I was exhausted all the time, so needless to say, I was absolutely exhausted and dying to just go to sleep in her room when I laid down, and but I heard the creaking starting around the floor outside of that hallway where that door is, and I just knew the Shadow Man had just came right back in, and I started hearing the footsteps come closer to my daughter's door, closer and closer, get right up on it slowly but surely. And then, God, I swear her door opened. I don't know. I was paralyzed at that point. I was exhausted and paralyzed in bed. But now that I think on it, I think that door did open a little. Just a little. Just enough to come ajar.
The back door or
Jackie's door. Yeah.
Bedroom door.
Yeah. And the footsteps got right up to the bed. And at that point, I just said, dude, I'm in no mood for this shit. I am too tired. I'm going to sleep. Do something or get the hell out of here.
I mean, it's pretty bad. Like, when Jackie would go to sleep, like, we'd have to, like, open her closet and, like, punch the clothes because she's, like, you know, because she would say there was a boogeyman in there or whatever, and it was hard to say there wasn't. But we're like, oh, there's, you know, nothing.
I did hear the footsteps go toward the closet after I did say that, though.
And I've slept when I got pregnant with our first child together, because Jackie is technically my stepdaughter, but I've been with her since she's 4 and she's mine. But I was uncomfortable, and John snoring, of course, was on my nerves because he still wasn't on his apnea machine yet. And so I had to sleep in there, and it took me forever to fall asleep because I was just constantly feeling like someone was watching me. And I personally had to keep the hallway light on for myself just so I could see that light under, you know, on the little crack of the door on the bottom. And at the time, we had gotten a rescue cat who we named Sirius, because he's all black, like Sirius Black from Harry Potter. And he was all black, so we named him Sirius. And I had to get up and go pee like a million times because I was pregnant. And every time he would just stay in the hallway, sleep on the hallway, in the hallway, on top of our washer and dryer, because that's also where our washer and dryer was, in our clothes basket. He was there. Every time I went out, he was there. I don't think he moved.
When we never had Shadow Man activity during the time Sirius was out there guarding the hallway.
Mm-hmm. And then when I stopped sleeping in there, he, from what I remember, didn't really go sleep in the hallway very much at nighttime anymore.
No.
But I used to say he was like my little protector.
I thoroughly believe that cat did something to stimmy off a lot of his activity because it got really bad.
But we would hear voices all the time.
Oh my God, yes.
Like voices, sometimes you can't really hear, like, understand what they're saying, but enough to be like,
it's like
there's some bitches talking right now.
Put your TV volume down on like volume 1 and step into the adjacent room. It kind of sounds like that almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, distant and just, is it there or not really? Mm-hmm. But it's clear as day at the same time.
Now, mind you, this stuff's going on. I'm pregnant. I'm like 6 months pregnant. John decides to take a 5-day vacation to go see Alice Cooper. And what, Michigan?
It was Alice Cooper. I was not worthy, but I had tickets. I had to go.
Backstage passes, so he got to see him and meet him.
I got to have a conversation.
But I decided...
It was nice.
So I had to stay home.
We talked about Army of Darkness.
Shut up. I had to stay home by myself, mind you, pregnant with a 7-year-old at the time. During kind of like a little bit of the height of what was going on by myself. I don't think I went to bed until about 3 o'clock in the morning because I was so like scared. I had all the lights on in the house. I had Jackie sleeping with me because I was like, I'm not rushing all the way to the other end because I'm going to be scared. She's sleeping with me so I know where she is. And, but yeah, I had to do that for 5 days by myself. Now, to most people, like, oh, 5 days, that's not a lot. When you live in a haunted house by yourself.
I lived in it by myself for 3 years.
Well, that's your dumbness.
I figured you could handle 5 days.
No. No, I couldn't. And, So that is a little bit of information about our house. Now, in our new house, we've had just a few things.
Oh, I did have one really scary experience in our new house. It was, yeah, our land is weird. God damn. But yeah, this was right after our son was born.
I think he was probably about 5-6 months old.
Yeah, it was somewhere around that time. I was helping out, with the bottle feedings late night, and anyway, I'm in the office, and my son's in his room, which is adjacent, and Amber's in the master bedroom,
which is on kind of on
the
the other side.
You're sleeping at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't even in the office. I got up to use the bathroom. I was in the office. I got up to use the bathroom. Yeah. Everybody's asleep except me. And while I'm in the bathroom, I hear Jace crying up a storm. And, I'm trying to reassure him from the bathroom, hold on, I'll be right there. I'm trying to finish it up and get out there to him. Well, when I do, I get up to his door, and just as I reach out for the handle, I hear clear as day from the other side in soft tones, shh, it's okay, I got you. And it sounds like Amber, I think. I'm not sure, but who else is in the house? That was a woman's voice. All right, well, I guess Amber got him before I did. Makes sense. She's got mother hearing. She gets up quicker. Goes in the bathroom. I had delay, All right, so I think nothing of it. I go back to the office, and my poor boy, he's just steady crying. He is just wailing and wailing. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, he must be a colic, messing with him. Amber's having a hard time. After about 5-10 minutes, I said, okay, well, let me go poke my nose and see if I can maybe help her out somehow. And I, open the door open.
And that's when I walk out. I'm like, are you going to get him? He's like, what?
Did you even come out?
I did, yes.
All I remember is scooping him up and hauling ass out of there. That's all I remember. That freaked me the hell out. I was not ready for that.
Yeah. Yep, he had just come out with Jace in his arms as I'm like coming out going, are you going to get him? Because I'm hearing him cry on the monitor like for 10 minutes going, is he going to get him or what is he doing? So I come out and he has the baby in his hand. He goes looking at me like he saw a ghost. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then he tells me, I'm like, well, it wasn't me, obviously.
That was the first, that was the first strong experience here since we moved into the new one.
And then was it, Jay slept with me sometimes, and my sister used to come over all the time. And now she doesn't because she's just too adult to come hang out with her old sister. Now she's just a busy girl. And whenever we had company, so whenever my sister came over, whenever John's brother came over, they always slept in Jace's bed, like on an air mattress. And so I remember one night, Elena was staying the night. And she was sleeping in Jace's room on the air mattress on the floor. And John at the time was fell asleep on this couch that was out here. And Elena was like, she was like almost to that nice, sweet, like sleep. And then she kept hearing like loud noises, like people like have like a party going on, and she's thinking John has the TV up loud. She's getting annoyed, so she comes out here to give him hell, and he's asleep, the TV's off. And she starts freaking out. And it sounded really like close to her, like, and she says she heard it until about 6 o'clock in the morning. And when she realized felt like it was coming outside of her window, and she would look out, there was nothing there, no neighbors, outside. There were all the lights and stuff were off, nothing. And she said it sounded like drums and like a party, and she couldn't make out what anybody was saying, but she could hear people like chit-chatting and stuff like that. Now mind you, a month later, 2 months later, his brother comes over, stays in Jace's room on the air mattress, and didn't he have something similar happen?
I want to say, yeah,
where he was hearing like a bunch of noise and like stuff outside the door or the window.
No.
So that was another time that we had experiences. I don't think I've had any personally in here.
When did we stop seeing that orb of light?
That was in the old trailers when we saw it.
Didn't it make one last appearance here or no?
I don't remember. I don't think so. one night in the old trailer, John and I were in the master bedroom. I'm kind of laying at the top of the bed. He's at the foot of the bed smoking a cigarette. And we have like this little light on in the bedroom, not a full light, kind of like a glow. And we're just chit-chatting. And we're talking and laughing, and Jackie's in bed. We didn't have Jace at that point, and so we're talking. And then from the corner of the room to where I was at on the other corner of the room, because the bed was kind of like in a corner, we see this white light just flow.
It wasn't like even so much like a beam of light. It was a ball.
It was a ball.
It was an absolute spherical ball.
And it wasn't something that was a shadow from the other light, because the other light was very dim and it was on the other side and it was actually moving. And it kind of filtered, stayed in between us, in the gap that was between us for a few seconds, and then kind of floated.
Like just on the peripherals, like just enough to like, it was so weird.
Mm-hmm. It was very weird. And that was the only time that I seen it. But John had said that he had seen it a couple times after that night. I think he said that he saw it following me.
You saw it another time after that too.
Did I? I don't remember.
You saw it the most.
Did I?
Oh my God, yes. I wish you wrote all that down when you saw it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Stuff like that fades, but you saw it more than I. Yeah, no, that thing was following you.
Yeah.
For a while, we were thinking that thing was your protector.
I don't know. It was very weird. So we had that in the house too.
That was in the old trailer.
Yeah, that was in the old trailer. We also kind of live the way that our house is set up. On one side is woods, and then when it goes like this towards the back, it's field, and then over this side it's field. Now, where kind of like where our parking is, like when you come to park at the house, it's kind of like by the woods. And we all kind of like say, screw that, because the woods are creepy.
No one likes to park.
No one likes to park by the woods, especially at nighttime. So
Jacob can tell you all about the woods.
And John, before I even moved in, his friends were like, I'm not parking by the woods, or they would try to leave before it got dark.
Yeah.
And that's just experiences that his friends have had prior to even me moving in. But yeah, to this day, like
this land is fun.
We have a couple friend. Couple friend? Does that make sense? A couple friend. We have another married couple that are our friends. I'm best friends with the wife, obviously, and John and her husband, they get along. So they come over occasionally. We go over there and we hang out and stuff. But the wife, my friend Sam, like she's like hates parking by the woods, and she tries not to when she's here. But yeah, was it one night we were talking and she goes, I swear we took something home with us. And she's like telling us this stuff that had happened. And I was like, yeah, it could have been. She's like, so we're not talking about that stuff anymore when we come over your house. And so yeah, so it's a lot of, like, my sister doesn't like it. Even my mom's like, it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I didn't know your mom felt any kind of
Yeah,
way.
the very last time was it a couple times ago. It was during the winter time, and she parked by the woods, and she had to go outside to get something, and she's like, oh, I don't even gave me the heebie-jeebies. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of people feel that way. We've gone walking through the woods, and during the day, and I remember one particular time my sister was with us, and then it was Jackie